TitleMatchNetwork.com.
He was cool, but he was pissed. Him and two cops right behind him. He goes, look, we don't have that around here. We don't have that bullshit around there. That's bullshit, did the flag a few years ago, burn it. He said, that shit don't fly here. Right there and do it. And I said, look, man, I said, we'll get them. And they were getting ready to leave me and Jimmy laying, and cover us with Malcolm Fax. So we'll get them. It's all right. He didn't want to smarten them up. And he goes, no, we're stopping it now. He goes, that don't fly here. That's not going down here. We've heard what these guys have been doing. This is other doing in other counties. That ain't happening. I said, look, we're getting ready for the biggest 3 shows we've ever had. We're bringing Undertaker in to all 3 our major, to Pikeville, to Johnson City, I don't know if he went and did Knoxville with us on that. I know he did Pikeville and Johnson City. I don't think he did Knoxville on that. He did, but he might have worked with Kane. It was kind of what Kane there. But anyway, I said, if you arrest these guys, and I said, everything we got is tied up into this right here. I said, we're done. We're finished. We'll be shut down. I said, there's a lot of money in this right there. I said, this is business. And we're trying. I had to smarten them. You didn't smarten them up back in. Jimmy was living with the cops. I didn't even let nobody know I did that. New Jack and Mustafa and D'Lo were in the back of the dressing room, and they really thought that they were coming to get them. And they had everything they could get a hold of. They thought they were going to go down swinging. Yeah, that's a true story, man. That's a true story. True story.
At some point, you ended up at IWA Japan.
Yeah.
Was this during this time
I worked,
you were
during Cornette, when I worked for Cornette. And after Jimmy shut down in '95.
Okay, so this was after Smokey?
No, I worked for Wings, and then I worked for Baba. I worked for New Japan before I ever got there, before I went to WCW. I worked for New Japan '88 to 1990, did 4 tours. The rest I did a couple tours for Baba, I did for Wing, I did for IWA Japan, and I did a lot of that during when I worked for Jimmy, and then after when I was done working for Jimmy in the summer, or the first of '96, I did 3 straight tours, tore my groin, kept working, I had a lot of independence, and went to Japan a week, to 2 weeks, to 3 weeks, to a month, and then worked for Vince, and I worked independence around that. Did the Shaquille Ali thing during that when I was working for Vince, with worked Brian Christopher, and Jamie and Wolfie were doing that thing there. Did that in '96, and until '97. I was working some for Vince still, and when I was working for Paulie, when I first started working for Paulie, when they did the first pay-per-view, I was on tour in Kuwait, and had a 10-day loop after that.
You did Kuwait?
Yeah. I was there when Vader had the food poisoning, and when Vader went off and slapped that guy. Remember that?
Yeah.
You guys remember that? I worked Vader the night before. Vader had food poisoning. We had a real short match. We'll fight back, and they beat me. And they was Leon was coming back from the ring. Somebody tripped him. He went through the whole crowd. Oh yeah, he went off. And the next day, there he had food poisoning. And the next day, I can remember him hollering at the overseas people and hollering at the Hebners, which he knew wasn't good. And we went out and worked out at the base, Army base, and they were all telling us that he really messed up. We didn't know what happened. Good Morning Kuwait, him and Undertaker doing an interview. The guy said about wrestling being fake. Leon got up and he says, after I beat the shit out of him, I'll beat the shit out of you, and slapped the guy. He got as much trouble for cussing as he did for hitting him. And the sheik himself, the sheik of Kuwait, asked him to drop the charges, and he said no because ratings were big. He publicly kind of embarrassed the sheik. Well, Vader, he wouldn't drop the charges, so by law, there's nothing they could do. We were left. But I remember when they come to get Vader, we were all laying out in the sun. Davey Boy come, he goes, guys, what the, oh fuck. He says, they just took Vader, 4 guys from the government, come and got Vader, and went right, Delta Force was our security, Delta Force with the embassy there, and took Vader. Vader had to stay there 10 days after we left, and that was when they do the thing where they can't eat meat. When he come back, Vince was kind of mad at him and put him with Shamrock, when Shamrock was in his, coming out of the UFC. I was there then. Remember that. Let me tell you what, buddy. I ain't never been on a plane when you're so glad to hear them jet engines roar and you fly and you leaving out of there, because they wax all of us and they don't care. They don't mess with them. Kuwaitis are passive. They ain't near like the Iraqis and, and the rest of my
They were the good
Middle
guys who
East.
were allies with Kuwait. Well, let's finish up with Smoky Mountain before we talk about Japan. No, that's not too bad.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.